Imagine this situation. You have told your child 100 times, "Hey, don't talk to strangers." One day, a friendly adult approaches them and says, "Your mom asked me to pick you up." Now is happening, your child is confused. The rule says don't talk to strangers, but today the situation feels different. And this is where many children struggle, because rules don't protect kids, judgment does. Most parents focus on teaching children what to do and what not to do. Follow the rules, be careful, listen, don't, stop, always. But real life is not a list of clear rules. Real life is gray. It changes, it surprises. And when you're not there, your child won't be thinking, "What was the rule again?" They'll be thinking, "What should I do right now?" That ability is what we call common sense. And common sense is not something children are born with. It's something that develops through guided thinking, real-life scenarios, and conversations that teach the brain how to pause, evaluate, and predict consequences. Today, we're going to talk about 5 powerful what-would-you-do scenarios that help children build real-world judgment, emotional intelligence, and decision-making skills. Because the goal is not to raise rule followers, the goal is to raise thinkers. Let's start with the first mindset shift that changes everything. Common sense is not about obedience, it's about prediction. When a child learns to ask themselves, "What might happen next? Does this feel safe? Who can I trust right now?" Their brain begins to move from impulse to evaluation. And this is exactly the skill that protects them when you're not there. This means your role as a parent shifts too. Instead of always fixing, directing, or solving, your job becomes coaching their thinking. That sounds like this. What do you think would happen if? How would you know if that's a good idea? What would you do if you felt unsure? These questions activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for judgment, impulse control, and long-term thinking. And the more children practice these mental simulations, the stronger their decision-making becomes. Now let's move into scenario 1, the stranger situation. Instead of teaching only the rule, "Don't talk to strangers," give your child a thinking framework. What if someone asks for help finding a lost dog? What if they say they know your parents? What if they ask you to come with them? Safe adults don't ask kids for help. If someone says your parents sent them, what could you do to check? Where is a safer place you could go instead? The goal is not fear. The goal is awareness. You are teaching your child to evaluate situations, not just memorize warnings. Scenario 2 is something every parent recognizes. The jacket situation. Your child refuses to wear a jacket on a cold day. The instinct is to argue, insist, or force. But this is actually a powerful opportunity to teach cause and effect. Instead of fighting, you might say calmly, "Okay, you can choose, but bring the jacket with you." If they feel cold later, the brain connects the experience to the choice. Common sense grows when children experience safe consequences and learn to adjust their decisions. This teaches responsibility without power struggles. And here's something important. Children build judgment through experience, not lectures. If this perspective is already changing how you think about everyday moments, take a second to like this video, share in the comments which situation your child struggles with the most, and subscribe to the Parenting Blueprint. And if you want deeper tools to raise independent, confident thinkers, our channel membership offers 2 levels with exclusive content and early access to new parenting strategies designed for real-life situations. Because every small decision your child makes today is training their brain for the bigger decisions they'll face tomorrow. And in the next part, we'll move into the situations that challenge children the most emotionally. Peer pressure, distraction, and the moments where their instincts matter more than any rule. Now, let's move into the situations where common sense becomes even more important. Because as children grow, the challenges they face are not just about safety or comfort, but about social pressure, attention, and the ability to trust their own internal signals instead of simply reacting to what everyone else is doing. The third scenario is one that almost every child encounters at some point: peer pressure. Imagine your child is with friends, and someone suggests doing something they know isn't a good idea. Maybe breaking a small rule, excluding another child, trying something risky, or simply going along with behavior that doesn't feel right. Most parents respond to this by saying, "Don't follow the crowd," or "make good choices." But in the moment, a child's brain is not thinking about rules. It is thinking about belonging, acceptance, not being left out. And without preparation, the emotional pressure of the group often overrides their judgment. This is where scenario-based coaching becomes powerful. Instead of giving instructions, ask your child to think through situations ahead of time. You might say, "What would you do if your friends dared you to do something that felt wrong? How would your body feel if you knew it wasn't a good idea? What could you say to leave without making it a big deal?" Then help them create simple exit strategies such as, "I have to go, my parents would check," or even something as simple as walking away confidently. What you are really teaching here is something deeper than rule following. You are teaching your child to trust their internal discomfort, because one of the most important components of common sense is the ability to recognize when something doesn't feel safe, fair, or right, even if everyone else seems comfortable with it. The fourth scenario is one that affects children more today than ever before: screen distraction and situational awareness. Picture this situation. Your child is walking through a parking lot, crossing a street, or moving through a public space while completely focused on a device, a game, a video, or even just daydreaming. The risk here is not only physical safety, but the loss of environmental awareness, which is a critical life skill. Instead of simply saying, "Put the phone away," you can turn this into a thinking exercise. Ask questions like, "What are 3 things you notice around you right now? If someone needed your attention, would you hear them? What might you miss if you're looking down instead of looking around?" You can even turn this into a game, encouraging your child to notice exits, people nearby, moving vehicles, or changes in the environment. This strengthens what psychologists call situational awareness, the brain's ability to scan for information, anticipate risk, and stay mentally present, instead of operating on autopilot. And this skill is not only about safety, it also improves attention, focus, and decision-making in everyday life. The fifth scenario introduces a situation that many parents never think to prepare children for, but that becomes extremely important as they grow. Children are often taught to respect adults, teachers, coaches, and other authority figures without question. Respect is important, but blind obedience without judgment can create vulnerability. There may be situations where an adult gives an instruction that feels wrong, unfair, unsafe, or confusing. Instead of teaching children to always comply, teach them respectful disagreement. You might ask, what would you do if a teacher asked you to do something that didn't feel right? How could you speak up respectfully? Who else could you go to if you felt unsure? Then model language such as, "I don't understand. I'm not comfortable with that. Can I check with my parent first?" This teaches children that respect and self-protection can exist at the same time, and that common sense includes the ability to question situations when something feels off. What connects all of these scenarios is one powerful skill: the pause. Common sense is not about always knowing the right answer instantly. It is about slowing down long enough for the thinking brain to activate instead of reacting automatically. And this pause becomes a habit only when children practice it in low-pressure conversations at home. Because in real life, the brain does not rise to the level of instruction. It falls back on the level of preparation. Now we come to the final and most powerful scenario, the one that goes beyond safety, beyond social pressure, and beyond awareness, and begins to shape the kind of person your child becomes when no one is watching. Because real common sense is not only about avoiding danger or making smart choices in the moment. It is about integrity. It is about the decisions a child makes when they have the opportunity to do something wrong, get away with it, and no adult is there to guide them. Imagine this situation. Your child accidentally breaks something at a friend's house. No one saw it happen. Or they make a mistake at school, and the teacher assumes someone else is responsible. Or they find money on the ground and realize no one is looking. These are the moments where rules are no longer enough, because no rule can cover every situation, and no parent can be present to enforce behavior. What matters in these moments is the internal voice your child has developed, the ability to ask themselves questions such as, what kind of person do I want to be? What would happen if I hide this? How will I feel about this later? This is where moral judgment and common sense come together. And just like the other skills we discussed, integrity is not taught through lectures. It is built through conversation, modeling, and everyday reflection. Instead of only telling children to be honest or responsible, you can present simple scenarios and invite their thinking. What would you do if you broke something and no one saw? How would you feel if someone blamed another child for something you did? What matters more, avoiding trouble or telling the truth? These conversations activate the part of the brain responsible for long-term thinking, empathy, and self-identity, helping children connect their actions to their values instead of simply reacting to the fear of consequences. And there is something important to understand here. Children do not develop integrity because they are afraid of punishment. They develop integrity because they experience what it feels like to repair mistakes safely. When a child tells the truth and the adult responds with calm guidance instead of anger or shame, the brain learns that honesty is safe, that mistakes can be fixed, and that being truthful strengthens relationships instead of threatening them. This is why your reaction matters more than the mistake itself. If the response to honesty is harsh, the child learns to hide. If the response to honesty is calm and solution-focused, the child learns to take responsibility. Now, when you look back at all 5 scenarios we've discussed, something important becomes clear. Common sense is not one skill. It is a collection of mental habits. The habit of pausing instead of reacting. The habit of predicting consequences. The habit of noticing discomfort or risk. The habit of questioning when something feels wrong. And the habit of choosing based on values, not pressure. And here is the most important truth for parents. These habits are not built during big conversations or serious lectures. They are built in small, ordinary moments. When your child refuses a jacket and you allow them to experience the cold instead of arguing. When they face a social challenge and you ask them what they think instead of telling them what to do. When they make a mistake and you focus on repair instead of blame. When you turn everyday situations into simple what-would-you-do conversations without pressure or judgment. Over time, these repeated experiences strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for judgment, impulse control, and decision-making. And slowly, something powerful begins to happen. Your child starts thinking before acting. They start noticing consequences. They begin to trust their own internal voice. And that voice is what guides them when you are not there. Because the real goal of parenting is not control. Real goal is independence with wisdom. Before we finish, if this video helped you see everyday situations as opportunities to build your child's judgment, take a moment to like this video, share in the comments which scenario you plan to start using at home, and subscribe to the Parenting Blueprint for more science-based strategies to help you raise confident, thoughtful, and emotionally strong children. Because the children who learn to think through situations today become the teenagers who make safer choices tomorrow, and the adults who can navigate complex decisions with confidence, responsibility, and integrity. And remember this, most parents teach rules, but the parents who consistently ask, "What do you think will happen? How would you handle that? What feels right to you?" are raising something far more powerful. Not rule followers, but really wise decision makers' children.